Welcome to Powerful Women Rising, a podcast for female entrepreneurs ready to do business their way. Grab your coffee and join host Melissa Snow, business relationship strategist and founder of the Powerful Women Rising community, as she interviews industry experts and shares insights on strategy, marketing, mindset, and more. Here, you'll find the tools, strategies, and inspiration you need to feel empowered, take bold action in your business, and keep rising.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Women Rising podcast. This is episode number 4 in our series of interviews with the 2024 Powerful Women Rising Impact Award winners. And I hope that you are enjoying listening to this series as much as I enjoyed getting to interview these incredible women. I think this is a great way to celebrate episode number 100 of the podcast, a great way to celebrate Women's History Month, and just an awesome way to get inspired to keep going or pursue that next big dream or whatever it is that's on the horizon for you. There's so much wisdom and so much goodness in these interviews, and I'm just so glad that you are spending your time today listening to them with me. So this next one is an interview with Kim Munsch, who was the winner of the 2024 Resilience Award, and Aleta Wagner, who was the winner of the 2024 Impact Award. Kim is the visionary behind the Kim Louise Experience, where events are designed and experiences are created. She's a dedicated single mother of 5, ranging in ages from 10 to 24, and a proud grandmother of 2. She knows the value of celebrating life's special moments. With over 25 years of experience, she specializes in event design, planning, and decor for weddings, corporate gatherings, and milestone celebrations. Kim also loves to cook, bake, and embrace anything creative, bringing passion to everything she does. Aleta is a pelvic health occupational therapist and the founder of Mountain Mama Pelvic Health in Monument, Colorado. She specializes in pelvic floor and core dysfunction during key life transitions, including adolescence, pregnancy, postpartum, and menopause, with a special focus on teens with hypermobility, EDS, and pelvic pain. Aleta is passionate about educating, empowering, and advocating for women. She's a certified prenatal and postpartum exercise specialist and is pursuing her trauma-informed certification for pelvic health practitioners. Her holistic, client-centered approach normalizes conversations around pelvic and sexual health, ensuring women receive truly individualized care. Outside of work, Aleta loves hiking, biking, yoga, singing, and exploring the Colorado mountains with her husband and 3 kids. Good morning, ladies. Welcome to the Powerful Women Rising podcast.
Good morning.
So excited to have 2 more of the winners of the 2024 Powerful Women Rising Impact Awards here on the podcast. Why don't you guys just tell everybody a little bit about you and what you do and who you are? Kim, do you want to go first?
Sure. So Kim Munsch, I live in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I have a business getting to do my passion and what I love, and that is events. I love to create experiences for people at those events.
I love that. That's so awesome. Okay, I'm going to come back to you in a little bit, but first, Aleta, tell us a little bit about you and who you are.
Yeah, my name is Aleta Wagner, and I live in Monument, Colorado. I own Mountain Mama Pelvic Health. I'm a pelvic floor occupational therapist. It's a fun job. I get to work with pregnant women. I get to work with postpartum women. I get to work with teenagers. I get to work with perimenopause and menopausal women. It's just a fun job to be able to support women.
One of the things that I love about being an entrepreneur, and especially about like networking and being in entrepreneurial spaces with other women, is hearing about all these different types of businesses women start, right? Like you think, I'm going to go into business but for myself. So am I going to be a doctor? Am I going to open a law firm? But it's like, there are so many different, I didn't even know that pelvic floor was a thing until I became an entrepreneur. And it's cool to be able to then go talk to all the non-entrepreneurs who are like, can't jump on the trampoline without peeing their pants and be like, you know who you need to talk to.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about these awards that you won. So Kim, you were the winner of the Resilience Award, and that award was given to someone who had overcome significant challenges in their journey, who showed exceptional resilience, and who was inspiring other people through their determination. So obviously you've made a big impact on some people because you were nominated by your peers, and then you were chosen as the winner by a panel of judges. Tell us a little bit about your experience with resilience in your entrepreneurial journey and how that has played out for you.
Sure. So that journey, I feel like started as a kid even, but as an adult, even before the incident in 2016, my first husband was an abusive alcoholic that I one day realized, what am I doing? And we had 3 kids together. Long story, but I managed to leave and I became a single mom of 3. Went back to school, continued to work because it was just me taking care of them as a single mom. I got remarried. We had 2 more kids. And we were still married in 2016 when I lost that job. But shortly after that, my husband at the time decided he wanted a separation. And that quickly turned into he wanted a divorce. So then I found myself a single mom of 5. I had started that business before that divorce, but it was shortly after that those other things transpired. And it had to just be put on the back burner. It stayed on the back burner for a really long time because I was a single mom. I didn't have the ability to just build a brand new business. I had to have what I call my day job or my paycheck job to make sure that I could survive and take care of my kids. A few years after that, I ended up in a relationship and eventually ended that relationship, and that ex-man became a stalker. And that went on for 2.5 years. And I continued to still go because I was going for 2 things. The 2 things that made me go were my kids. My 5 kids counted on me, and I had to keep going. I had to keep surviving. I had to show them that you can be strong and you can do this no matter what comes about. I continued to work the business in very, very tiny little bite-sized pieces. And even, through that stalking incident, what I found is even those baby steps were still helping. And I'm terrible with baby steps. It's still a work in progress. Like I want to go, I want to do it, I want to have it done, right? And so I kept going. And there were times where I was like, I'm out. I'm done. I can't do this. It's just too much. It's too overwhelming. But yet that still followed me. I was then suddenly like, I tried to stop the business, but then I was suddenly getting inquiries. And somebody had said to me once, they're like, when you're doing what you're meant to do, it's not going to go away. And I knew in that moment, like, she is right. And this is my passion and I'm not going to let it go, even if I do have to do the baby steps along the way.
Yeah. What I love about that story, well, there's a lot of things I love about that story, but I think some of the key takeaways that I want people who are listening to this to hear, and I think this is something that is really important that we talk about more in entrepreneurship, is first of all, that period of time that you were like, I'd really love to be working on my business full time and I need a job. I think for so many entrepreneurs, getting a job means you failed, right? There's this like, we tie our identity to being entrepreneurs. Our community is entrepreneurs. And then to have a time in our lives when it's like, I can't work on this right now, I have to get a job. For some reason, there can be like shame and embarrassment in that, which is silly because
Absolutely.
the rest of the world also has a job, right? Like there's probably should be more shame and embarrassment in like, I'm sitting here not making any money and I have 5 children.
Yeah.
And so I love that idea of just like, you had to do what you had to do at the time without actually letting go of the dream. And I also love what you said about the baby steps too, because especially now in this world of online businesses and all of these celebrity influencer business coaches, it's all about like, how fast can you make 6 figures, right? I went from making $52 a month to making $52,000 a month following this blueprint. And your story is very much like, sometimes I moved inches at a time, sometimes I moved miles at a time, but I kept moving.
Yeah.
It wasn't a race. It wasn't how fast could I get there. It was just keep moving. And I think that's so, so important.
For sure. And I'd be lying if I said there weren't days when I was, forget this. I'm not getting out of bed. Forget this. I'm going back to bed. I did those things. I let myself feel what was going on, have the emotions that I had. Maybe not everybody is like that, but for me, I had to in order to work past it and start moving forward again.
I think if any entrepreneur tells you they never had a day when they were like, forget it, I'm done, I'm going back to bed, they are definitely not telling the truth.
I agree with that.
I want to come back to that idea of like how you keep going when it's really hard, but I want to go to Aleta first and talk a little bit about your award. You won the Active Impact Award. And that award is for a person who is consistently engaged and active, who shows up in conversations, at events, in online spaces with a positive energy, with enthusiasm and dedication that inspires other people. So tell me what you thought when you first found out that you had been nominated or that you had won this award.
I would say it was a huge surprise to me, but I'm so thankful and honored. Like I said, I've been in business for 2 years. I've been an OT for 17, but kind of transitioned from working in orthopedics at the Children's Hospital and hand therapy into pelvic floor. I love what I do. I love being a part of the wellness community. I love being a part of the entrepreneur community. And I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur throughout my career. And it just kind of happened one day. I just decided I need to do something different, and I have a passion for women. I want to help women. So being involved. So I also homeschool. I have 3 kids. I homeschool them. So just being involved in a homeschool community, talking to moms, talking to peers, and just seeing what the need was in our community. There are so many options, I think, for pelvic floor dysfunction. And a lot of times it's recommended to get surgery. It's recommended to take medicines. And I feel like, no, we should really start with functional movement, getting to the root cause in the body. And then if we're really struggling, then maybe moving on to those other alternatives. But just being a voice in the pelvic health space, being a voice in our community, being a part of different groups where I can encourage and support other women. I love to just have conversations. I love to educate. So I do workshops in our community, just educating. And so many women say, why haven't I heard about this before? And how come I didn't get taught this when, I was a kid? Or how come my OB didn't tell me this when I was pregnant? So there's so many women that just don't know, like you said, Melissa, like, what is pelvic floor therapy? What do we do? There's so much to it. And I'm super excited to have won this award and to continue to have impact in our community.
So I want to give you an opportunity to I want you to toot your own horn, because there are lots of entrepreneurs out here. I mean, I don't know if there's as many in other places as there is where we live, but we got a lot. Yeah. And there are a lot of people that I meet at networking events who are out meeting people, doing the things, connecting with people. What do you think it is about the way that you do things, the way that you show up in the community, that is creating such an impact for people?
Yeah. It probably is partly my personality. I love people. I love, just that connection with people. And I strive to make those genuine connections. For me, it's not, yes, it is about a paycheck, but it's not about a paycheck, if that makes sense. Like I want to make a difference. I want to help people. And so just my openness in hearing from people. And there is something to be said for being an occupational therapist. We are people that I think other people open up to more. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychologist, but I ask questions. I ask open-ended questions. I leave space for people and just hold that space for people. And so I think I'm easier to talk to in that instance. But I will openly share, I am a believer. And I think that light also shines through to where that helps maybe make connections with people, though I don't, that's not the first thing I say to people, but I think just having that in my history and in my background, it shows. And maybe that shows up in those conversations that I have with people.
Yeah. I'm hearing several things, and they totally match up with what I've heard from other people about you too, which is authenticity, like staying true to who you are. It's very much what I teach when I teach people how to network like a human and not like a sales executive, right? Showing up as a real person, having real conversations, creating connections, being curious, wanting to learn more about people without an agenda to pitch them or sell to them at the end, right? Like you just want to know who they are and what they're about. And maybe they never need a pelvic floor therapist. Maybe they know somebody in the future who does, but your desire and your genuineness in connecting with them doesn't depend on that.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing too is your willingness to openly provide value to other people. You don't have this, well, I could help you with that if you want to pay me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, we all need that to a certain extent because none of us are here to like, hey, can I pick your brain for the next 3 hours for no money? But it seems like you have a good handle on that balance between like genuinely providing value to people and
Yeah.
also still running your business.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. And that is absolutely how you create an impact in the community, in your networking spaces, with your clients. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that creates clients who want to refer you to people, which
Yeah.
is, I always say like your former clients are probably the most important part of your
Yeah.
network.
Absolutely.
That's
100%.
awesome. So I want to ask both of you actually, because I know Kim won the Resilience Award, but I know Aleta's got a lot of resilience in her as well. Super impressed by the fact that you're homeschooling children. I mean, I'm impressed by anyone who keeps a human alive, let alone 5 of them that they're also educating while they run a business. But I would love to hear from you guys. And Kim, you touched on this a little bit in terms of just like allowing yourself to feel those feelings and move through them. But when you're struggling with those days of like, why am I still doing this? I'm done. This is hard. Everything sucks. What is it that keeps you going?
I think of that all the time when it comes up, right? In that moment. What is it that I need to keep doing this for? And it's for me, it's not only just my kids, but it's for me. The passion that I have for what I do and doing events and creating those experiences for people is so strong that that's one of the things that makes me want to keep going.
What about you, Aleta?
I mean, there are lots of hard days with, like you said, homeschooling, just dealing with myself and my kids and our attitudes and behaviors. I think for me, it is really getting to like, what is the heart of what I do and why? And I think Kim, you touched on this too, is I do this for myself. I do this for the women in my community. I do this because there's not someone who does the same thing exactly the way that I do it. That has the same exact heart that I do. There's other pelvic floor therapists, there's other great pelvic floor therapists, but I'm different and, we're all different. So just having that different heart. I will say, I didn't say this earlier, but I went from a mobile practice to having a small office space that was kind of secluded. It was on the second floor of a building. I did not get any foot traffic. And now I'm in a wellness collaborative. And that was all in the span of a year and a half. Well, actually less than that. It was in the span of a little over a year, actually, because I kept my mobile practice for about 6 months before I was looking at office spaces. But just, I wanted to keep moving forward. There's that saying of just like, take that step, keep taking that step. And when you're scared, just do it, just jump off the fence and do it. And I sat on the fence for a very long time doing pelvic floor education, looking at things and not doing this as a career until one day I just went, I'm not happy where I'm at. There's something that needs to change. My physiology is not doing what I need it to do to be able to be there for my family, for myself. And so I had a friend actually who called and asked, hey, I heard you got a certification in pelvic floor. Are you seeing clients? And I said, no, do I need to? And she said, yeah, I want to see you. And that was what really made me jump off the fence and get my LLC started and just decided to open my company. I could have just seen her on the side and not made a company, not become an entrepreneur, but something, I don't know, there was just that little fire inside me that said, do it, you can do this. And I think growing up, I had 5 brothers. And so I always was having to get my voice out there. Right. And, just like you said, Melissa, having that resilience, I think just having people believe in me. It wasn't just me that went, okay, I'm just going to do this. My husband was supporting me. I had friends that were supporting me. The person that I'm in the office, the wellness collaborative with, Katie Bear, she's also an entrepreneur in the community. Like she, was very much supportive of me and wanting to promote my business too. And I just feel like if we have people that can stand by us and give us that support, it helps on those hard days. It helps to be able to just have somebody to call and say, this day sucks, and have somebody to encourage you. And I know, like I said before, I'm a believer. So I do find encouragement in God's word and the scriptures, but sometimes sometimes that doesn't help, even though it should, right? It should be the one thing that helps you. But sometimes you just need to have somebody else to believe in you and just say, you know what, hey, you can do this. And, let's look at the next step. What is the next phase? What is your next goal? What is just that one step further that you can take?
I don't think I could have overcome a lot of the challenges I've had, but like what I feel is like the constant challenges without that support. I had one of those challenges this morning, right before this, and I reached out to those women that have just been there rock hard, never sugarcoat, but are gentle, that support and give it to me straight, who helped me get my mind back in the right place.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I am so big on networking. And really, I mean, I say networking is really just anything that you're doing that connects you with another human, because having that community is so important. Like, our husbands want to understand, they want to be supportive, but sometimes they just don't understand in a way that's supportive. They don't have a better response than like, well, I hope that works out for you. And you're like, thank you. But talking to other women, talking to other business owners, talking to other people who either have been where we are and now are where we want to be, or are still where we are. There's something about that just is so helpful in knowing you're not the only person having that experience. There's nothing wrong with you. This isn't like a sign from the universe that you're doing it wrong. It's like, this is just you being a normal human trying to build a business, and everybody else has gone through this too. So if there was one piece of advice that you would give to a woman who's listening to this podcast, who is thinking about starting a business, maybe she just started one, but she's like, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm even doing. Or maybe she's been at it for a couple years and she's in that space of like, shouldn't this be working by now? Should I think about wrapping it up? What would your one piece of advice be?
I would say find that network, find that supportive group of women. They don't need to be entrepreneurs. They could be entrepreneurs, but not in the same field as you, or they could be in the same field as you. I'm an abundance mindset person. And so I network with other pelvic floor therapists as well. But I think finding that support network, finding people that you can bounce ideas off of, and it doesn't have to be in person. It could be a virtual group that meets up. And I know having that in-person connection for me, I love that in-person connection, but I've also had great connections with people virtually who are in the same space as me, just in a different state or in a different city, and just doing something. So I think just finding that supportive group of people, even if it's just a handful, it doesn't need to be 100 people. It could be 5, it could be 3, it could be 2, but just somebody or some people that you can call if you need to ask a question, or let's get a group together and bounce some ideas off each other for how to, do social media or whatever it is. But just having something that you can kind of step back on, especially when you're starting out, I think it's good to have that support. I know it helped me a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. I read something that said there are at least 3 people that every entrepreneur needs in their network: a mentor, a peer, and a protege, someone who is ahead of you, someone who's where you are, and someone who is where you've been. And I think there's so much value in all 3 of those things for sure.
That was the first thing that came to my mind too, was that support system. It is so important, not even just professionally, but personally. I remember being in a networking group, and sharing that I didn't feel like I was good enough to be there. I didn't feel like I was on the same level as everybody else that was there. I was totally in the comparison mode. And at the end of that meeting, I found myself surrounded by a group of women from that meeting wanting to hug me and just tell me like, yes, you are. You do belong here and you are enough. And that was insanely powerful.
That's when you know you found your people.
Yeah,
for sure. Ladies, this is awesome. You've both done such a great job sharing some really good wisdom that is going to help any entrepreneur at any stage, and also sharing a little bit of your story. I just love hearing other women's stories of entrepreneurship and what they've gone through, how they've had to be resilient, how they've kept going when it's hard. I think anytime you have an opportunity to share your story, you should, because it's very inspiring and motivating for everyone. If people are listening to this and they want to know more about you, they want to keep in touch with you, they want to know more about what you do, Kim, what is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Go to my website, KimLouiseXP.com. That would have all the links to find my socials, you can contact me through there, and also my email.
Great. I will put all of those links in the show notes. And how about you, Aleta? What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
You can find me at Mountain Mama Pelvic Health on Instagram. I also am on Facebook. You can DM me on either Facebook or Instagram, and then the links to my website. And I have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter that I put out. It's just once a month, so it's not something that's going to clog your inbox, but a monthly newsletter just to increase your body literacy and that pelvic health knowledge. That is something that you can find a link to in my Instagram.
Awesome. I will put links for those in the show notes as well. And everybody listening to this, feel free to reach out to them and connect with them, even if it's just to say, hey, I heard you on that podcast and you're awesome. Everybody loves to get those messages.
Yeah. Melissa, if I may, I just want to say thank you. Whoever was that nominated me, I was completely blown away, and whoever the panel was that chose me as resilient, it meant more than I could even describe.
Well, it sounds like you're very deserving. And there's many people in your community who recognize that and see you and see what you're doing, both of you. And so definitely take that in. I think we're so quick when there's something like we don't get the client or somebody says something crappy about us or something, like we'll obsess about that for days. And then it's like, and you won this award. And we're like, oh, weird. Okay. Anyway, like take it in, let yourself really feel that and experience. And this is for everybody when you get a win, like really let yourself take that in and see, like there were people, I don't even know who they are, but there were people in the world who saw this award and were like, you know who I should nominate? Like out of all the people that they know, they thought I should nominate you. And the panel of judges was a bunch of badass businesswomen. So the fact that they picked you guys is huge. So let yourself live in that at least for the rest of the day.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you so much, ladies.
That's a wrap on this week's episode of Powerful Women Rising. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you love the podcast, make sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, write a review, or buy us a coffee. Your support helps more women like you step into their power and grow their businesses in a way that feels real and true to them. Want to keep the party going? Check out the show notes for details on our next virtual speed networking event, or join us in the Powerful Women Rising community. Until next time, remember that building a business your way is the best way.